the man suddenly realized he was doomed. The story originates 1,000 years ago on the Eurasian continent, where several soldiers were rushing to the royal palace. They had discovered something strange in the palace's meeting room, and their captain was about to push the door open, but the next second, as the soldiers broke down the door, they were stunned to find the room filled with ice, and the air was freezing cold. Everything inside, from people to objects, seemed frozen solid. The soldiers, shocked, cautiously stepped inside. In the corner, they found a warrior wearing armor and holding a sphere. He was the only one not frozen. One of the soldiers tried to take the sphere, but time quickly jumped to modern-day New York, where a strange car sped down the street. At the same time, the manhole covers on the road began exploding, as if something was about to burst out. Seeing this, someone in the car remarked that it might be a ghost trying to cause trouble. Before the words even finished, another manhole cover flew off, and a flying water dragon emerged from the depths. A girl in the car immediately opened the door, leaped out, and fired an arc of electricity, trapping the water dragon. They released a remote-controlled car to try and capture the dragon, but it wasn't enough. So, they sent out a drone, which circled around and approached the dragon from above. Though they successfully captured the dragon, the driver, overly excited, lost focus and crashed into a bicycle. Because of this mishap, they quickly made the news, and the mayor ordered immediate changes, with the primary target being Phoebe. The reason was simple: they were the Ghostbusters, and Phoebe was still underage. After some media exposure, they could no longer allow her to continue working. Reluctantly, they obeyed the mayor's orders. Since the Ghostbusters were a family, not letting their daughter work didn't affect them much. Every ghost they captured was stored in the proton machine in front of them, which could permanently trap spirits. Although the mission to capture the water dragon was a success, Phoebe, now jobless, found herself with nothing to do. She thought of visiting a friend's house, but upon arrival, she discovered her friend's house was haunted. At the same time, a man named Rasmati entered her friend's father's antique shop. He was there to sell a spherical antique. Looking at the strange copper ball, the shopkeeper assumed it was just a regular ancient ritual object and didn't give it much thought. However, as he began testing the ball with a machine to analyze its material, something unexpected happened. The machine malfunctioned, the house started to shake, and the bottles on the shelves instantly froze. Outside, it seemed as if an ice dragon was speeding down the street, heading straight for the Ghostbusters proton machine. The shopkeeper, terrified and thinking the ball was cursed, hastily sent Rasmati away. Meanwhile, Ghostbusters Captain Paul noticed something was wrong at home, but it was his first time dealing with such a thing, and he had no idea what was happening. At the same time, Paul's son noticed some mysterious, disgusting liquid dripping from his bedroom ceiling. He decided to check the attic, but when he arrived, he found it was filled with trash, and something seemed to be hiding inside. He tried to push aside the garbage to see what was lurking, but in the next moment, he wanted to tell his mother about the scene, but just then, they had a mission to attend to, so he had to let it go. Meanwhile, with no missions left to join, a bored Phoebe headed to the park to play chess with herself, but as soon as she sat down, a ghost suddenly appeared across from her. Thinking it was just a regular spirit, Phoebe didn't pay much attention. Little did she know, this ghost, named Melody, would bring a terrifying disaster into her life. Later, after completing their mission, Paul noticed a problem with the proton machine, so they headed to the Ghostbusters headquarters to investigate, but the result they got was still that they didn't know the reason. However, the headquarters agreed to temporarily allow them to store the captured ghosts there. At headquarters, they saw the high-tech equipment, which included not only numerous proton packs, but also a machine capable of extracting spirits, known as the separator. This separator could quickly detach spirits from objects they were attached to. Coincidentally, The shopkeeper brought the copper ball to headquarters at this time. He believed that a spirit must be attached to the copper ball, so he brought it to the separator. But this time, the separation almost caused a disaster. As soon as the separator started, it seemed incapable of removing the spirit inside the ball, and even the entire electrical system malfunctioned. Just as the copper ball seemed about to open, the ghosts trapped in the proton packs appeared to be breaking free. Luckily, the team managed to repair the separator in time, and it returned to normal. A team member wanted to retrieve the copper ball, but the result was, soon after, due to the copper ball's influence, the freezing outside resumed, spreading over the roads and fountains like a giant snake. It even affected the proton packs at the Ghostbusters' home again. Meanwhile, as Melody walked down the street, the sky suddenly darkened, and ice spread toward her. Yet, Melody didn't panic at all. She simply spoke into the air, asking, "Does it really have to be me?" Then Phoebe was woken up by her mother, as they had discovered the proton packs at home were in serious trouble, with icicles forming all around. Meanwhile, at headquarters, they also noticed the strange power of the copper ball. It could immediately attract other ghosts when brought near them, and without their knowledge, a beam-like ghost seemed ready to break free from confinement. To figure out what the copper ball was, the shopkeeper and Phoebe went to an ancient library. There, with the curator's help, they found an ancient book that recorded the history of the copper ball. The book revealed that the copper ball was a magical prison created by the gods, containing Kalaka. It was said that 4,000 years ago, Kalaka served a bloodthirsty king, helping him conquer most of Central Asia with 7 armies after the defeat of Glorka. But Kalaka was so strong that the king feared he would overthrow him, so he conspired with wizards to betray Kalaka and removed the legs that gave him strength. Imprisoned, Kalaka refused to give up and fought to break free. Rebuilding his army of death, they swept across the land, using fear and frost as their weapons, leaving nothing but desolation. However, due to his inhumane slaughter, a group of mysterious soul hunters emerged. Using fire and brass as their weapons, they defeated Kalaka and finally imprisoned him inside the copper ball. This was the same copper ball now at headquarters. Over the centuries, the soul hunters recorded a method to keep Kalaka trapped, inscribed on a black ring. As they spoke, they prepared to play a recording for Phoebe and the others, but as soon as the recording began, a beam of light shot into the black ring. Seeing this, Phoebe and the others chased after it, but the garbage bag-like beam zipped away at lightning speed. They pursued it out of the library, but it had disappeared. While searching through the piles of trash, the curators suddenly noticed the garbage bag sitting on a stone lion. They tried to climb up to grab it, but in the next moment, the stone lion came to life. The lion lunged at the shopkeeper, and just as its massive jaws were about to bite his head off, Phoebe quickly activated the electric gun on the car, shooting off the lion's tail. The lion, now in pain, turned toward them. Unfortunately, their gun jammed at that moment. Although they managed to deal with the stone lion, the black ring that held the sealing method was also shattered, and because Phoebe had violated the mayor's order by going on another mission, she faced severe criticism once again. Even her parents scolded her heavily after taking her home. Seeing that she had stopped a resurrected stone lion yet received no praise, only constant blame, Phoebe angrily decided to run away from home. It was during her escape from home that Phoebe encountered the ghost, Melody. On the road, Phoebe didn't want to deal with her at first, but Melody not only spoke to her about the troubles in her heart, she also kept comforting her. Seeing a ghost who cared more about her than her own parents, Phoebe suddenly had a bold idea. She quietly took Melody to the headquarters, which had already closed, and then activated the separator. Phoebe wanted to use the separator to extract her own soul, so she could experience what it felt like to live as a spirit. Sure enough, Phoebe succeeded. Seeing her ethereal body, she moved to hug Melody, only to realize it was all part of Melody's plot. As it turned out, Melody was being controlled by Kalaka. During their conversation that night, Kalaka had promised to reunite Melody with her family in exchange for tricking Phoebe into using the separator to extract her soul. And tonight, Phoebe's escape from home was the perfect opportunity. As Phoebe muttered the chant, the copper ball began to float and disintegrate. Kalaka descended shortly after, but just as that happened, the staff from headquarters burst in with their energy guns and launched an attack on Kalaka. However, their attacks were too weak to harm Kalaka, who froze the energy with just a wave of his hand. Kalaka quickly left and went to the shopkeeper's antique store, leading to the scene from the beginning. Meanwhile, on a peaceful beach, tourists suddenly noticed dark clouds gathering over the sea. The water quickly began sprouting icy spikes, freezing everything in its path. It was clear the true apocalypse had arrived. At that moment, the Ghostbusters unexpectedly discovered that Rosmati had the ability to control fire, but because this power wasn't very useful, the team didn't pay it much attention, as their main focus was stopping Kalaka. Everyone got busy, working to retrofit their weapons with brass, in hopes of successfully killing or sealing Kalaka. As they continued working frantically, the city's freezing weather slowly surrounded them. Amid the ice and snow, a bicycle moved eerily down the street, heading toward a steel gate. Soon, the beam of light shot into the car inside the garage, causing it to drive toward the group before stopping just short of hitting anyone. Then, the beam entered a file, folding the papers into a paper airplane that flew out. As the Ghostbusters approached to investigate, the beam quickly darted into one of their energy guns and activated it. Paul was stunned, and as he followed the energy, he saw that Rosmati could now directly control the electricity. The team rushed to destroy the energy gun. The beam escaped again, this time entering a pizza, trying to flee. With this delay, Kalaka had already arrived at the door. Seeing this, the group prepared to confront him, but Kalaka was too powerful. Everything he touched was instantly frozen. Even the proton packs in the house began to crack. They attacked, but it was futile. Just then, a figure in full brass armor slid down from upstairs, pulling out a lighter to attack. However, the lighter wouldn't ignite. Kalaka noticed and snatched the lighter away. After that, Kalaka began chanting. With a slight raise of his hand, a beam of light shot straight into the sky, and all the ghosts trapped in the proton packs were instantly released. Phoebe slowly stood up, seeing the destroyed proton packs, and without hesitation, ran outside and shot at Kalaka. But even though her energy gun was stronger than the others, it still wasn't enough to harm Kalaka. With just a little more freezing power, Kalaka disabled Phoebe's gun, and soon, she was frozen solid as well. Seeing Phoebe frozen, Kalaka was ready to extract her soul. But at that moment, a match was lit in the corner. The fire from the match quickly leapt to Rosmati's hand, and he used the flames to attack, thawing out the frozen team members. Despite all their efforts, they still couldn't kill Kalaka. The elderly Ghostbuster said the only way to stop Kalaka now was to restart the proton packs and seal him again. Upon hearing they had a chance, everyone sprang into action, and they successfully sealed Kalaka once more. But with Kalaka sealed, Melody, who played a crucial role, also began to fade away.